Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm showing y'all how I meal plan and grocery shop, as well as show you 3 super delicious dinner recipes. These are recipes that I keep on rotation, and I started noticing that Will would text me in the middle of the day a lot and say, "What's for dinner?" So I decided to start typing up our menu for the week and then just using a magnet to hang it on the fridge. And this has been great for both of us. It just keeps me on track. And most of the recipes that I use are from my Pinterest board, and that's labeled Yum. I will link that down below in case you want to check it out. All of the recipes on there are delicious. So I'll just get on my Pinterest and get my menu sheet, and then I'll make a list on my phone of all the ingredients that I'm going to need from the store. And I like to use my Notes app on my iPhone because they have the checklist feature where you can check something off once you put it in your grocery basket. So I just find that to be really convenient. And then I'll usually divide my list into 2 categories, pharmacy side of the store and then the food side of the store. And that way I'm not walking back and forth wasting my time. And then once I get home, I'll unload all of my groceries onto the counter before putting them all where they go. Most of you probably know this already, but just in case you don't, the Notes app on your iPhone, when you open it up, it's got a little option with a circle with a check mark in it, and you just click on that, and it makes you a beautiful checklist for grocery shopping. And then you just click the little circle, and it makes a yellow check mark so that you know you already have it in your basket, and it just makes life so much easier. So definitely try it out if you haven't already. Alright, so I wanted to give y'all a little bit of a grocery haul. This week's grocery haul is not that great because all I got was a few things for dinners because I did most of my shopping last week. But anyways, I got a bag of spinach because we're going to use that in a couple of recipes. I grabbed up some avocados for my avocado toast in the morning. I got some squash and zucchini, a bell pepper to have on hand for omelets and things like that. Some frozen corn to go with our meatloaf, and then I grabbed up this heavy whipping cream for our homemade Alfredo sauce. It's so delicious. You're not going to see that recipe in this video, but I will link the recipe down below just in case you want to try it. And then this ketchup is for our meatloaf as well as the burgers that we were going to have on this night because this was Memorial Day. And then I picked up these sun-dried tomato halves. These things were amazing. I don't know where I've been my whole life, but I've never had those. And we put those on our chicken in the crock pot, and they added so much flavor. Will loved it, so we're going to definitely have to keep those on hand from now on. And then I just picked up a purple onion and some fruit, strawberries, and a pineapple. And then I picked up some different cheeses, some Parmesan and some cheddar cheese to go in our recipes this week. All of those cans basically are for the taco soup recipe that I'm going to show you in this video. Picked up some ground beef, some taco seasoning, some meatloaf, and then I always like to keep cream cheese on hand. We use that in a lot of our recipes. And then I picked up this mild ground Italian sausage for our tortellini soup recipe that you will see in this video. And this recipe, if you try one recipe from this video, let it be this. This is the best recipe ever. I love this tortellini soup. We have it at least once every 2 weeks, if not more. And then I just picked up this frozen tortellini from the frozen section. And this is the tortellini that I've always used. It's just the great value version, but it's really delicious and I can't really complain. I've never tried any other tortellini, but this one is really good, so no complaints there. And then I picked up some butter to have on hand, some extra butter, some Jiffy cornbread mix. I like to mix that with sugar when we're making our cornbread. It's so good. And then I picked up some chicken broth because that's going to be in several of our recipes this week. And I couldn't find Mrs. Meyer's soap today, so I just grabbed that Dial foaming soap for our bathroom. And then this is the soap that we use in the shower. It's the Dove, and I think it's just called Dove White, and it's really gentle. My camera would not focus right there, but anyways, it's called Dove White. It's a good one. And then we picked up this Pepper Ridge Farm 5-cheese garlic bread. This garlic bread is the best, and we actually accidentally stumbled up on it because the store didn't have anything else, but it was so good, and that's probably what we're gonna get from now on because it was that good. But then I picked up some fettuccine noodles for our Alfredo this week. I picked up 18 eggs, and we will be done with those 18 eggs in a matter of days. We go through those so quick. And then I just picked up some chicken, and I like to chop that in half and then freeze it and then just pull it out whenever I need it. And then I went ahead and just picked up some paper towels and some toilet paper. And then I wanted to show y'all, I love this Dave's Killer Bread, the dark green one, 21 whole grains and seeds. This is the best bread ever. I use it for my avocado toast and when I just want a piece of butter toast. It's so good. Okay, so for this awesome tortellini soup, you just need one bag, and it's a 19-ounce bag of the cheese tortellini, and I just get the great value. You need flour, spinach, and I'm just going to use half of this bag of spinach, sea salt, Italian seasoning, black pepper. You need 1 pound of Italian sausage, and I just get the mild ground Italian sausage. You need 1 onion, and I'm using a yellow onion, and then you're going to use 1 full container of chicken broth and then 1 cup of another. You need 5 cups total, and then 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, which is this entire thing. So if you buy a small great value whipping cream, that's all you need, and then some garlic paste. And I use this instead of having to cut up or grind the other kind of garlic. This is a lifesaver. So let's get started. I love it when you can find a recipe that is absolutely delicious, but it's also so easy to make, and that's what this one is. So I'm just going to start out by browning up this Italian sausage, and then I'm going to go ahead and chop up an onion real quick. Once the sausage is fully browned, I'm just going to get a paper towel lined plate and pour this onto it. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of the grease that's left in the pan from the meat, and I'm going to go ahead and saute my onions in that. Once the onions have softened up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of garlic paste. And when I say a little bit, I always do way more than you're supposed to, but we love garlic in this house. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in and let these onions saute for a little longer and let this garlic get fragrant. Now that I've let those onions saute, I'm going to pour in a 1/4 cup of flour and coat the onions really well before pouring in the chicken broth. I'm a huge noodle lover, so anytime we have a meal with noodles, I get really excited. So I would love to know, comment down below if you are a pasta lover like me or if you can't stand pasta. I know it's either one or the other. My parents growing up, my dad loved pasta and my mom did not, and so we never got to eat pasta, or at least not very often. And when we did have a spaghetti night, all of us would get so excited. After I pour the 5 cups of chicken broth in, I just want to make sure the flour gets well dissolved. And then I'm going to add in my spices, the salt, pepper, and Italian seasoning. And anytime a recipe calls for Italian seasoning, I usually put about half the amount that they suggest, because it is such a strong spice. It kind of takes over everything else. So I'm just going to half the amount that they say, and I will leave this recipe, just like all of the other recipes, down in the description box in case y'all want to check them out. After letting the broth simmer for a little bit with all of the spices, I'm going to go ahead and pour in all of the rest of the ingredients. So the Italian sausage, the tortellini noodles, the half and half, and the spinach, and I'm just going to use about half that bag of spinach. And I'm just going to stir that all up and let it simmer for a little while longer, and then your dinner is completely ready. And this is such a delicious dinner. Y'all have to try it and let me know what you think. By the way, if you have kids who hate spinach or anything green, you can totally opt out on that. It doesn't add too much flavor. The soup is still really good without it. I don't like to let this simmer too long or the noodles get bulgy and too soft, so I just let it simmer for about 15 minutes and then we go ahead and serve it up, and this is so delicious. So if y'all try out this recipe, definitely tag me, let me know what you think. I think this is probably one of my favorite recipes. Alright, up next is this delicious Tuscan chicken. So you just need spinach, parmesan, olive oil, black pepper, garlic paste, chicken broth, heavy whipping cream, sun-dried tomatoes, Italian seasoning, and red crushed pepper, plus the chicken. Alright, so I just took 2 chicken breasts and I sliced them in half to make 4 pieces, and I'm just going to season that with Italian seasoning and red crushed pepper flakes, a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and set that crock pot on high, and I'm going to cook this for 3.5 hours whenever this cream sauce gets done. So I'm going to start out the cream sauce by adding butter and garlic to a fry pan, and I'm going to let that come to a simmer. Once that butter and garlic come to a little bit of a simmer, I'm just going to add a cup of heavy whipping cream. And I'm actually using a 1/3 cup there, that's why you saw me do 3 of those. And then I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of chicken broth, and then I'm going to let this get really thick until it gets to where it coats that spoon, and then we'll move on. Once that sauce gets thick, I'm just going to go ahead and pour it over the chicken that's already in the crock pot, and I already went ahead and put in those sun-dried tomatoes on top of the chicken. Those added so much flavor to this, and believe it or not, I forgot the spinach, but this was still delicious and my husband loved it. The greatest thing about crockpot recipes is you can throw your food in and then run your errands or do what you need to do. So in between starting these potatoes and finishing up that chicken, I ran to Target, and now I am back home, and I'm just going to go ahead and rinse off these potatoes, and I'm going to poke them with a fork several times, roll them in olive oil, sprinkle them with sea salt, and then roll them up in foil, and I'm going to put my oven on 400 and let them bake for about 45 minutes to an hour. When the timer on the potatoes hits about 15 minutes left, I went ahead and started chopping the zucchini and the squash. So I'm just cutting these into bite-sized pieces and throwing them in a fry pan with a little bit of olive oil and garlic salt and pepper. And this is super easy. It's a great way to add a vegetable to your meal. It's really quick and it's delicious. I would have to say that squash and zucchini are my favorite vegetables to make with any meal, just because they're really easy to incorporate and they are really delicious. But if that is not the case for you, let me know down in the comments below what your favorite vegetable is. I know a lot of people use the frozen bagged veggies, and I do like those and I use those often, but there is something about fresh vegetables with your dinner. So if you have a fresh vegetable idea, leave it in the comments below. Let me know how you make it. I would love to try out some of y'all's ideas. Alright, here's a fun fact about me. I really don't like meat that much unless it's incorporated into something else. I don't like to have like a piece of chicken or a piece of beef. I don't know what it is, but my husband loves chicken, so I had to find something that would work for us. And this chicken has so much flavor, and when you leave it in the crock pot for 3.5 hours, it gets so tender. It really is a delicious recipe, and I highly recommend this. When you see this chicken, you're going to want to judge it based on its appearance, but trust me, it was delicious. Those tomatoes made all the difference. Okay, so here is the stuff that I need for my taco soup. It's the easiest recipe ever. You literally just take all of these ingredients and toss them in a pot, put the lid on and let them simmer, and it is ready to go. The recipe actually says to leave them for 4 hours in the pot, but we don't. We just cook them for about 30 minutes and then it is ready to eat. So got cheddar cheese, chili powder, cumin, onion powder, sour cream, and taco seasoning, and then a bunch of cans. So we've got black beans, chili beans, golden sweet whole kernel corn, tomato sauce, and then 2 cans of diced tomatoes and green chilies. So super easy and it's delicious. I like to add in chicken with my taco soup, so I'm just going to add in a couple of chicken breasts to this fry pan with some olive oil, and then I'm going to season it with some Tony's Cajun seasoning and some Cavender's. And once that's all cooked up, I'm just going to shred it, and then I'll throw it in with everything else. At first, I did not want to give this recipe a try because I just thought taco soup sounded pretty nasty. I don't know what it is, but tacos and soup together does not sound appetizing to me. I wish I could rename this recipe to Mexican soup, and you know what? I think I might in my house because tacos and soup do not belong together. But anyways, this recipe is fabulous. I highly recommend you try it, especially with some cornbread, and let me know what you think. Alright, so while that chicken is cooking up, I'm just going to add all of those canned ingredients to this pot along with the taco seasoning and the onion powder, and I'm just going to let this simmer until the chicken is done, and then I will add in that chicken. And here in just a second, I'm going to get that cornbread going. this recipe actually calls for 2 10-ounce cans of tomatoes with green chilies, and I could not find the 10-ounce cans, so I had 2 cans that were 14 ounces. So it was pretty tomatoey, and I think if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't pour the whole thing in, but it was still really good regardless of the tomato flavor. Alright, so for the cornbread, we just use the Jiffy box, and I like to add in about 3 tablespoons of sugar. That makes it so delicious. So I'm just going to whip up all of these ingredients and pour them into a sprayed muffin pan and cook those up, and this goes perfect with the taco soup. And to shred my chicken, I'm just going to take 2 forks and shred it that way. I actually saw someone the other day that was using a food grinder or a mixer of some kind, and they just threw their chicken in there and grinded it up. And I thought that was pretty genius, but I did not want to get my chicken too fine, so I didn't do that this time. Let me know down in the comments below what you do to shred your chicken. You're solid like a granite stone. And to make this recipe a little bit more creamy, I like to add a dollop of sour cream and lots of cheese. And I know that makes it less healthy, but this is such a delicious recipe, y'all. You have to add in the cheese and the sour cream or it's just not the same. My husband's not a huge fan of sour cream, so I couldn't put more than a dollop, but when I get it in my own bowl to eat, I usually add a little bit more. And there is nothing more satisfying than when you open the oven and your bread is cooked perfectly. This is such a delicious meal, especially for those rainy summer nights. I hope y'all try it, and if you do, let me know. Thank y'all so much for watching today. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I love y'all so much, and I will see you on Wednesday. Haven't changed a